Good evening, and welcome back, poetry lovers. This is Z.M. Wise, and here I am with another home recording just for you. I'm not going to be reading a poem this time. I'm going to be reading a short essay that I wrote as the closing letter to From One Sphere to Another, the best of Harbinger Asylum from 2010 to 2012. It's pretty much the best of the best for the first 2 years of the magazine, which I have been an assistant editor to, Harbinger Asylum. This closing letter is based on an encounter that I had some number of years ago, and thanks to my father, Roger, I was able to retrieve some basic information and key facts about this encounter, and oh, what a memory it was. You astronaut and space fans, listen closely. You're going to like this. It has no title, it's just the final word by Z.M. Wise. Dear readers of Harbinger Asylum, this anthology that you hold in your hand is dedicated to the first man on the moon, the late Neil Armstrong, a pioneer in space exploration and aviation, a legend known among the subject of space, a role model to many, and a man who made a father's dream come true. As a young lad, my father's dream was to meet Neil Armstrong, who was his boyhood hero. He did not only want to meet him because of his numerous accomplishments, especially being the first human to set foot on a whole other surface, but because of the inspiration that he passed on to him and what being a hero actually meant. As my father grew older, and as his love of space exploration and space itself increased, his dream changed in a way. He wanted not only to meet Armstrong, but he wanted to introduce him to his children. Then his dream would be complete. Little did he know that this was about to come true sooner than he expected. It was Thursday, March 11th, 2004, when Armstrong was being awarded the Rotary National Award for Space Achievement. My father, my brother, and I were outside the Houston Hyatt Regency, ready to attend the 18th Annual Rotary Space Banquet. Before we headed inside, my father spoke to us about how significant this event was, and how much it meant to him that we were there with him, experiencing this together. My father was surprised that Armstrong would show up in the first place because of the fact that he did not normally show up to public events that were focused on him, let alone being awarded. After the moon landing, he chose to stay out of the limelight. This night, however, changed everything. At this point my father was ecstatic enough just to be in the same room with this living legend. He never thought that we would ever meet him at this rate, due to the large number of people who wanted to meet him as well. As soon as we exited the elevator to sign our names in, two older gentlemen came out as soon after we did. Just then my father looked right next to him. Who was standing just a few feet from him but Neil Armstrong in the flesh? My father felt like he was having heart palpitations. This moment was indescribable for him, something that he never would have dreamed of. When I was a lad myself, I had seen Neil's picture from 1969, but by the way my father was looking at this elderly gentleman, I could tell it was Armstrong. I had no idea what to say, and by the way my father's mouth was moving, neither did he. After regaining his composure, he introduced himself to Armstrong, shook his hand, and introduced him to us. I was very fortunate to have shaken his hand myself. I may have been a teenager, but I knew how historic and rare this handshake was. I admit that I was in awe myself. After our little meet and greet with the first man on the moon, we headed to our tables and watched the ceremony. When I talked to my father about when we met this pioneer, his legacy that he left behind, and what kind of person he was, I made a distinct connection between Neil Armstrong and poetry. Unlike many other astronauts and celebrities in general, Armstrong went on this mission because he did what he loved. He did it for his love of aviation and for his love of engineering. He did not seek fame or attention at all. All he wanted was to complete this mission, educate others, and move forward. That is what the future is all about, is it not? In the same sense, this is what poets do as well. I cannot speak for everyone, but I write poetry because I love what I do, and because it is in my heart. Words encircle my soul and define the man and the poet that I am today. We want to dedicate this anthology to Neil Armstrong for two reasons. First of all, he made his mark in the world, being the first man on the moon. This was his greatest accomplishment, as most people are aware of. Poets and poetesses, in the same consciousness, make their mark in the world through their own original verse, communication, and their own unique expression. Secondly, not too many know this, but Armstrong was one of the most fantastic orators ever heard. He was known to give brilliant speeches, whether short or long in length. Finally, Armstrong was known to be an influence in many lives, whether they decided to pursue the same field as him or not. Like Armstrong, we as poets will keep writing and reaching for the stars because that is what we are destined to do. Like my father's undying passion for space, my immortal gift of poetry will continue to branch out, explore new, undiscovered territories, and work its way through the world with words, which are all we have. Say it loud and proud. With all of my poetical heart, Z.M. Wise. Thank you, and have a great day.